This is TWiT.
So let's start with recall. I got to tell you, Paul, and you can confirm or deny, but last week where you were saying, "Hey, wait, hold on, recall, it's not even out yet. Just hold your horses." And then shortly thereafter, Microsoft said, "Yeah, okay, we're going to make it opt-in and we're going to make it more secure." I felt like Paul must have known that.
No, I did not.
You did not have early advance notice?
Look, I'm just reading the room.
Yeah, I mean, nobody has more complaints about Microsoft than I do, right? I mean, but the one thing I will say about them that I guess is semi-positive is they do respond to this kind of feedback, And look, this AI stuff is super important to them. They want to get it out in the world, et cetera, et cetera. But you get pushback from a certain customer segment, which is their commercial customers, and you're going to make some changes. So, no, I didn't know about this, but I knew they would respond, right? The thing is, the clock is ticking, and this creates kind of an interesting conundrum, timing-wise, because of the rollout of these Copilot Plus PCs on which you'll get this feature, right? So, I will say their response, came late on a Friday, right? Typical. I guess I could have predicted that one. Honestly, maybe I should have. The only substantive change, honestly, was that opt-in bit, because they told me it was opt-in at that event, and the way they've been describing it since is optional. So optional. I mean,
that's different.
It's different because it's going to be it would have been enabled by default, and then you could optionally turn it off.
That would be opt-out rather than opt-in.
Yeah, both of those things are optional too. So they describe it as optional. As this is it's a dark pattern. I mean, in a way, the screen
the sort of negative option billing, that's the dark pattern. The dark pattern was the wording of the screen and the out-of-box experience that didn't say yes or no. It said, this is what's happening. If you don't like it, do you want to turn this on yourself, or do you want us to turn it on for you?
Asterisk, we are turning it on for you.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, that's important. And honestly, that's not unprecedented, but we live in a world where Microsoft is auto-enabling things like OneDrive folder backup, even after you've explicitly said no multiple times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last week we talked about dark patterns, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, and I'd written an article about this, and the use of language to make it look like if you allow us to track you more, you'll have a better web experience. When in fact, if you allow us to track you more, we have more information to sell to advertisers. Is the real reason we're doing that.
And maybe those advertisers will tomart you with ads of things you've already bought.
Yeah. So. Look, I very much disagreed and still disagree with all those people who bemoaned about this ahead of time, because that did not represent the shipping code, but specifically on Copilot Plus PCs. But you know what? This is like sometimes you do the right thing and have a bad outcome, and sometimes you do the wrong thing and you have a good outcome. So,
do you think what Microsoft did is adequate?
There's no way to know. See, here's the thing. So
still haven't seen it. We don't really know.
We'll talk a little bit later about some of the Apple stuff, for example. So in both these companies' cases, you make these claims, you're doing this thing, and it will get out in the real world and things will happen. We used to experience this back in the day when beta testing versions of Windows was a formal thing that was well constructed and done over a long period of time, and everything seemed great. And then the thing got out in the world, and all of a sudden there were problems no one saw during the beta or anticipated or whatever. So I can't. No one can claim it's going to be fine, and we'll see. But this is too important for Microsoft not to get right, and I hope. I mean, I don't know. I hope they move quickly to fix whatever problems may come up. But the big thing to me, like I said, is just making it opt-in. That's how this should have always been.
Certainly, the way the IT person looks at it is, tell me it's off by default, or that I can make it off by default.
Yeah. So by the way, the IT story here is actually really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
IT can allow recall on a PC that they manage. They cannot automatically just turn it on. They can just say you can't have it, but it's up to the user if it is allowed by IT to use it. IT cannot control it after that.
It's this, yeah. Even though that's, it's the business's PC and it's, we can talk about all the legality and whatnot, but it's interesting. Like I said,
that it demands Windows Hello is an interest. I mean, that is an interesting barrier.
And not just Windows Hello, right? But ESS.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see. Stuff. We'll see. Yeah. One of the promises of recall was that you would sign into a PC where someone was using recall with a different account, and it could be an administrator account. And, if you've ever done this on your own PCs, you could browse the file system, go into that person's account. It will give you a little warning, like you don't have the rights to access this. And you say, click whatever, give it to me. And then it spins a little while and you get in. And one of the promises with recall was that wouldn't work with the recall database, that this thing was private to that user. It was like basically per user encryption, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things they changed, although again, this matches what they said originally, was user accounts on these PCs will be encrypted per user. So you can't do what I just described with recall, right? You can't, as an admin, get into that part of the disk. Yeah, I mean, that's what you said you were doing. So great. I think a lot of what they announced on Friday was like, but you already said you were doing that. Like this was what you said you were doing. So it's kind of hard to say how much actually changed, but the big one, opt-in, is that's such a huge victory. And it's it's the type of victory we haven't gotten in Windows. I can't even think of another example. I mean,
much at all.
Yeah, it's been definitely sloping in the opposite direction. There's been more and more, and in fact, I don't know if this is in the notes, but the 24H2 does more of this as well, where for individuals they're requiring more and more Microsoft account to do anything. They really want to push you down this path, and that's true of recall.
An NSA account, an Entra account.
I'm not sure about the Entra bit, but I mean, for example, some of the Copilot plus PC features, you get, free co-create and paint forever, unlimited number of images, but you have to sign in with a Microsoft account,
Right. Well, try using a Windows 11 PC without a Microsoft account.
Yeah, I mean, I would. The reason I signed in with a Microsoft account personally, well, there's a bunch of reasons, honestly. It does the auto encryption stuff and whatever, but there are, in fact, Microsoft products and services that I use that you have to sign in to use, like OneDrive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you could say, look, I'm going to use a local account. I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to secure it properly. But I want to use, whatever it might be, an Outlook app or Microsoft Office or OneDrive, like I said, at the Microsoft Store. You could sign into those apps, just those apps, with your Microsoft account. And to me, it's like, well, I mean, if you're going to do that, just sign in once. Like, why would you, why go through that, So anyway, I look, no matter where you took a stance on the recall debate, this is nothing but good news.
Mm-hmm.
There are additional protections they're enabling. This is the type of stuff I feel like they would have enabled over time. They were really, reasonably, but not surprisingly, really tried to push this notion like, look, this thing's a preview. It's not going out to that many people. We were going to use this time to gather the feedback and make improvements to the product. There will come a day in the future where recall is rolled out to many, many more computers. And by that point, we expect it to be where it needs to be or whatever.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess like everyone can just kind of, I did it. Whatever stance you took, you can feel good about it. It's fine. It's all good.
Hey, it's me, Leo Laporte. I hope you've enjoyed this little snippet from Windows Weekly. If you want to see more and want to catch the whole show, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast client or visit our website, twit.tv/WW. And of course, there's links right below me.